Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments, ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. Recover, new revenue, no compromise. Cool Blue VA, your virtual assistant. The Chiro Speaking Company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. The Chiro Hustle Podcast is sponsored by Chiro Health USA, ChiroScript AI, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 690 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette. Here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Larry Goodman. If you want to hear the story about coaching and growing together in chiropractic, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have a dear friend of mine, Dr. Larry Goodman. This is the third time he's been on, so if you guys want to go catch some back episodes, episode 81 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast and episode 156. So it's been some time because this is episode 690, and I'm really happy to have Larry on with me today. But before we get into his story and we talk about where he sees the profession going, we'll talk about some of his mentors, and he'll share a miracle story with us, and then he'll share with you guys how you can get in touch with him if you wanted to work with him as a coach. So the deep dive today will be on coaching, recovery, and how we can help more people, and how he and I have grown together in chiropractic, and how we have both been facilitators of growth in the profession. As this episode begins, I always let people know our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is we protect freedom of speech. We know what it's like to be traffic throttled, censored, and shadow banned, and we'd never do that to you. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. If you need access to anyone that can give you that guidance, please find a chiropractor in your neighborhood or your city. We protect the sacred trust. It's BJ Palmer's last words. If you want to know more about chiropractic than you ever did before previously, go to the show notes and click on the sacred trust. We also believe in subluxation-based chiropractic, innate intelligence, and universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And the reason we say that stuff is because they are taking the philosophy and the language out of these chiropractic colleges. So if you have a chiropractic student in your life or a recent grad, please share the show with them so they can get dipped in the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic. With that, this is episode 690 of the podcast. Dr. Larry Goodman, welcome.
Thank you, James. It's an honor to be here.
Third time's a charm, they say.
That's what they say.
So our format has changed pretty significantly since your last interview with us. So let's just open back up to the audience and let people know your chiropractic story and how you got into this beautiful profession.
Of course. So I come from a long line of medical people, both as practitioners and researchers and as educators. And I was asthmatic and allergic and lived on antihistamines and cortisone, and didn't know what a chiropractor was, except that, and I've remembered this relatively recently, that there actually was a chiropractor who had an office, a home-based practice around the corner from my house. And the sum total of what I knew about him was he was some kind of doctor. There were cars always parked there, and we don't go there. Honest to truly. And so I was studying physiological psychology at Stony Brook as an undergrad, and there was a course in sensation and perception, which was all about how the nature, the structure of the nervous system determines your perception of reality. various and sundry technical things related to slit bar and edge detectors, color blindness, hearing, and things like that. And don't ask me where I got the idea except divine providence, but I thought that maybe there was a problem with my nervous system that was the reason why I couldn't breathe and function well. And then, like any good medically indoctrinated and oriented person, I set out to find out what kind of neurologist there was who worked with the nervous system that way. And down the block from the girlfriend I had at the time was a chiropractor. And I had a brief conversation with him. And then I went to see a chiropractor in my neighborhood who became my original mentor, changed my life, a chiropractor named Miles O'Reilly. And Miles O'Reilly was a visionary chiropractor who had started out a Palmer grad. In fact, Dr. Larry Markson was his roommate in chiropractic school. And when I got to the point in my chiropractic education of studying upper cervical, and I needed one of the heat reading instruments, the nervous scope, Dr. O'Reilly gave me his nervous scope. And I'll always remember what he said to me as he was handing it to me. He said, "Can you imagine? They gave us this and two bones, C1 and C2, and said, now go out and heal the world." And the fascinating thing was then that he had evolved and was using many more very advanced for the time techniques in applied kinesiology and sacro-occipital technique and things of that nature. And lo and behold, I got well. The asthma, the allergies subsided. My need for medication went away. And I decided it would be an interesting journey to go become a chiropractor. Now, I will tell you candidly that my parents were not thrilled because I come from a long line of medical people. And my mother, God love her, her response to all of this was, what are we going to tell the neighbors? Honest to true. My dad, being ever more practical and pragmatic than that, talked to his accountant, and his accountant said he knew many chiropractors, had some as clients. Some of them did very well, and some of them did not so well, but they had the notion, if you can believe this, that I had a pretty big mouth, and I was fairly glib of tongue, and that the odds were that I could become successful if I pursued it with due diligence. So I went to New York Chiropractic College, and the journey really started in earnest. What I mean by that is Dr. O'Reilly would guide me to the people who were the cutting edge in chiropractic techniques and philosophies and practice management through the years, so that the skill set that I acquired over time served me and has served me incredibly well. Incredibly well. And I'm blessed to have that in my toolbox. And I think that that's one of the things that, as of the topics we were discussing, one of the things that I think is so extraordinary about the chiropractic profession is how many different techniques there are that the chiropractors have evolved for enabling the nervous system to function more efficiently, to make the connection as intact and directed as it can be, and enhance people's level of health and well-being mentally, emotionally, chemically, in every way. And that's really, to me, the gift that the profession has offered me, both in my professional life as a practitioner and now for the last 30 years as a coach.
Well, I just want to go back into a couple of things you said there, and we're going to talk in decades, not years. How many decades have you been a chiropractor?
I'm sorry?
How many decades have you been a chiropractor?
Coming up on 5. 46 years.
See, that makes the conversation a lot more fun.
Gotcha.
And, I know that right now, a lot of young chiropractors, they don't know how to go out and do their own thing just because I'm a part of the profession. As we said, like growing in chiropractic together is one of the things we can discuss today. But also, I know historically, especially out east, a lot of chiropractors would have home offices.
Yes.
Now chiropractors of today's generation, they want to be associates because they're kind of like in that middle ground of like, I don't know if I can go do it myself. But you got into chiropractic because somebody had a home office.
Well, yes. And see, the other thing in terms of practical realities, almost 5 decades ago, when I went to chiropractic school, the entire education, the DC degree, was the best bargain in American education at the time. I got to become a doctor of chiropractic for less than $10,000. And it made it possible that you could go to school, work part-time, come out, graduate with no debt, which left you free to take your time, sort it out, go, I say, low and slow, and find your path. Today, from what I keep track of, the minimum you can get a chiropractic degree for is probably between $140,000 and $150,000 tuition alone, and a lot of these kids are coming out $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in debt, which makes it most impractical to try and start out on your own without an idea of what to do, without the security of a paycheck, without, being fairly encumbered and stressed, I might add.
A lot of what you're saying just makes me really smile because the evolution of the profession, if we actually go back in time and recreate some standardization to where that used to be instead of where we are today, we could have a thriving profession instead of one that comes out, as chiropractors call it, the golden handcuffs, where they're basically attached to their tables. And if they leave the table, their quality of life and their business doesn't exist.
I would say that you and I share a common vision. One of the reasons that I got involved in coaching in the first place and why I'm in it even now is to...
Well, it looks like Larry's message was so good that it disrupted our call. I'll go ahead and carry the interview until he comes back on. One of the things we were going to discuss was how we both have been facilitating the growth of the profession and how he took on becoming a coach. And there was a segment in his career where he kind of stepped away from chiropractic, and we met each other about 8 years ago. And he gave me a lot of credit for helping reignite his passion to be a part of the profession again. And it's really impressive to see what he's done since that time. And let's just see if he kicks on again. And I do think it's really cool that he shared some of these segments with us about how he had mentorship early on, how his family was very interested in his career and picking a great opportunity for him to become a doctor. I think it's really awesome to see how he was able to take his own interests and being a psychologist and turning that into a coaching division for himself later in life. I made a post the other day about, is a chiropractor still a chiropractor if they don't adjust? And I think there is some principles within chiropractic that prove to people that if there is a limitation of matter, it makes it ultimately challenging for a chiropractor to be in practice if their body is not functioning the way it's supposed to. Let me see if I can add Larry back in. We dropped off after we were talking about the evolution of the profession and where people are with student loan. And I said,
Sure.
I think it's great that you could share with people about how you were sustainable, and we can learn from that framework of in the past to bring it forward.
So one of the lessons for life that I learned and subscribe to and disseminate is the truth that just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should. Meaning, in the heat of the moment, when you go to whatever the school is that you go to, and you're getting ready to decide and cast your fate at becoming a chiropractor, there's a tendency in the exuberance of the moment, with some, in my opinion, misguided guidance, to maximize your student loans and go for as deep in debt as you can with as much money as they will give you. And it digs a hole so deep that sometimes I notice that people literally never dig themselves out. Meaning, I know people that have practiced their entire chiropractic lifetime and are still paying off student loan debt. And the thing I can say to you about that is it's much easier to get in debt when you're just getting started and getting ready to become the chiropractor than it is to get out of it. Much, much easier.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments, ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. Recover, new revenue, no compromise. Cool Blue VA, your virtual assistant. The Chiro speaking company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. The Chiro Hustle Podcast is sponsored by Chiro Health USA, ChiroScript AI, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and IFCO. Let's hustle. I agree. And some of the things that we were going to talk about, we're going to get a little real with each other. And I know that we kind of pre-framed this before our conversation, before we went live today. And one of those things is you being a coach and how you transition. Because as you were off the camera, I said that last week I made a post about people that if you don't adjust, are you still a chiropractor? And I got a lot of attention from that, but I was mainly saying that because there's a lot of chiropractors that actually graduate off the table, and they learn how to still contribute to the profession at a high level.
So the first thing I'm going to say to that is, if your definition of adjusting is to bring people to a more normal state of function of their mind and body, then I am an attitudinal and mental and emotional and spiritual chiropractor. Because what I look for is how to eliminate the stress and irritation on their nervous system that comes from anything from structural, mechanical, emotional, dietary, spiritual, financial, relationship, all of it. Because there's a great book from, I forget the author's name, from Texas Chiropractic College. And the title of the book is Anything Can Cause Anything. And it's true. And financial stress can cause physical stress. And physical stress can cause financial stress. And you can have a vertebral subluxation that needs a 10-figure chiropractic adjustment. And you can have an attitudinal subluxation that needs a neuro-emotional adjustment. And that's something else I want to mention is the mother technique I work with, which is really what has propelled me in this direction. You were asking, we were going to talk about mentors. So the two major mentors in the evolution of my journey have been Dr. John DeMartini and Dr. Deb and Scott Walker. Dr. DeMartini with his amazing methods, and Deb and Scott Walker with the development of neuro-emotional technique, because of the whole mind-body change and transformation that I get to be able to help people to achieve and change their lives and become more successful, happy, and healthy in every parameter.
And the other part of that, and I also look at DeMartini as a huge input in my life as well, just because of the frameworks he has helped so many people with.
Yeah.
And I think that so many people don't know how to find clarity in their personal lives, and that encumbers them from becoming professionally successful. And I know that one of the topics I wanted to talk to you today about was recovery. And there's a lot of people out there, and how is, from your perspective, personally and professionally, how is alcohol having an effect on chiropractic?
Alcohol is a neurotoxin, not just for an alcoholic. It's a neurotoxin. Let me say that one more time. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. It has a deleterious effect on the function of your nervous system, on your judgment, on your ability to process, on your ability to heal. And that's not just if you are a diagnosed alcoholic. The research keeps coming out more and more that human beings do not have an alcohol deficiency. You can live a perfectly wonderful, healthy life consuming no alcohol, zero. And I can speak to that firsthand as someone, and I guess I'll just blow my anonymity for a moment here and say I'm 23 plus years clean and sober. Thank you. That my reason for saying that and letting you know and letting the people know is not only that you can do it, you can live a full and healthy life, and more of the problems of the world than we can imagine, than you can imagine, are the result of alcohol influenced decisions that people make.
Yeah, that was a big part of, getting to know you over the past. I mentioned that we met each other 8 years ago when you dropped off of the interview, and how I saw that you were taking such a powerful impact back into chiropractic, and that you found a purpose within the chiropractic profession after we started connecting again.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you were and have been tremendously responsible for that. In fact, so I speak of you often and enthusiastically as really bringing me back into the fold of the profession. My coaching had become very non-chirocentric before, and it has been transformed to the point where there's an expression that Dr. John DeMartini says, which is, be careful where you say you're never going, because it's where you're going next. I said I'd never have be a part of a hands-on practice again. I can't tell you how many times. I'm not only a part of a hands-on practice again, I'm in the midst of training up my new associate, who will ultimately, if things go well, become my partner in a new practice. Again, something I thought I'd never do. Never.
Yeah, it's encouraging. It's encouraging to me just to hear the stories, because ultimately, because you and I connected now together, as you stated, we're helping more people.
Yes.
And we have grown together quite a bit in this chiropractic life, and I'm really proud of that. And something that you didn't, I don't think you sparked this in me, but 6 years ago, this is, something I typically don't speak like about my personal life on the show either. I usually keep it philosophy and chiropractic business and, chiropractic marketing. But I also am celebrating this Thanksgiving 6 years of sobriety from alcohol, which I think is a huge thing. I think that has had a massive impact on my direction. And Chiro Hustle is now 7 years as a show, actually 7.5 years. So it's really cool to see what can happen if you just clear out the junk of your life and limit the things that you would allow into your life, and then you go a really amazing path.
So the point about recognizing the impact of these things, and I want to make sure to emphasize, there are many chiropractic techniques, and I'm not here to peddle any one over any other. But what I will say candidly is my go-to technique is neuro-emotional technique, because it enables me to work with people to find the what, the where, the when, the who of how they got neuro-emotionally, attitudinally, spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally subluxated, because they got stuck. The vertebral subluxation is when the bone doesn't move the way that it's supposed to and causes pressure on the nerves. Well, the neuro-emotional complex is how the mind-body gets stuck in a particular point of view, with a particular belief system, locked into a particular story that you may not even be aware is running your life. And when we find it and remove the neurological component of it, then the person becomes coachable, and then your life can really change.
Yeah. I think that that's a big path for so many people to get onto, because they're carrying that extra weight with them and they don't realize how heavy that is of a burden, and how confusing your energy source is if it's not clear. And if you continuously get it garbled up with toxins, chiropractors historically would always say, when a chiropractor adjusts you, it helps with physical, chemical, and emotional stress. It helps with thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And I think that it couldn't be even more true today, because people are definitely handicapping themselves with more toxins. They don't really have an ability to know what to do or who to trust. We're not inherently just guided by divine nature anymore. Like, we have to find people that can help us with, uncluttering our thoughts, working through generational traumas, past traumas, dealing with the things that are in our subconscious, dealing with things that are limiting belief systems. So I think it's ever more important for chiropractors to graduate from the tables and go out there and help the profession by removing the subluxations of their emotional and spiritual connections.
The subluxation above Atlas. Yeah. Big deal. A big deal.
This gets us to talking a bit the future. Where's the profession going?
Well, if I'm any indication of where the profession is going, just based on the fact that, as I told you a few minutes ago, I've launched a new chiropractic practice. The profession, I'll say it this way: for those who are willing to do the work, the opportunities are immense and extraordinary. Gone are the days of separation of the professions, at least as it's been my experience in both research, in teaching, and in practice. Meaning, I was 23 years adjunct faculty at the University of Miami Medical School. The techniques that I work with in neuroemotional technique are researched in both chiropractic colleges and medical schools. The research articles that are being published by members of all the professions. So the first thing that makes me inspired about the future is that the walls of professional isolation are coming down.
Yeah, that was a big talking point in my first interview of the day. And it was about how Chiro Hustle has invited all disciplines of chiropractic into the conversation. And when I talk about our opener, we never censored anybody, shadow banned anybody, or traffic throttled them, because we know what that feels like. I would never do it to anyone else. So I've invited the whole conversation of chiropractic to have a seat at the table.
Well,
And I've never seen anything like that before in the profession.
The beautiful thing is science is on our side. The vertebral subluxation that used to be poo-pooed as some ridiculous imaginary idea that only a chiropractor could see, we now, in research, in functional MRIs and PET scans and brain scans, you can see the subluxation both in the spine and extraspinally. You can see the result of the effect of the adjustment in the restoration of health, which then makes it, for the chiropractor who has, when you're, I'll just say it this way, when you're starting out, it's not unusual to have some doubt within yourself, not about chiropractic, but about yourself as the chiropractor. And the more good stuff that you can feed your mind and body and brain, then the more certainty you can have about what you're doing, then the more successful you can be at helping people to get well and have you see, the point of having a thriving practice, I want to make this point clear. The point of having a thriving practice isn't just to have a good life and take care of the financial needs of your family. It is also to provide care and service to your patient population, to the surrounding community, so that they can experience. Listen, the election just took place, and I don't want to talk politics, but I'll say this. I am in favor of what RFK Jr. is in favor of, which is, and the need for making America healthy again in every way. And that, I think, is the extraordinary opportunity that we have as chiropractors, is to assume our rightful and fundamental role in helping to make America healthy again.
Two things. You did mention the ways to give analysis to check and make sure somebody's nervous system is adapting with chiropractic involved.
Yeah.
Two other ways I've seen really helping with the advancement of adaptability is heart rate variability.
Yep.
And thermography scans.
We use them all. And in fact, that's the other thing that's so exciting about what it is to be a chiropractor now.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this with love and respect and regard. Not that there's anything wrong with palpation. It's a great thing, whether it's digital palpation or motion palpation, etc. It turns out, in my experience, the more ways that you can detect and demonstrate the subluxation, the more ways that you can correct the subluxation and demonstrate both to yourself and to the patient and to the community the therapeutic impact that you're having.
Well, that takes me to where I got my roots 16 years ago. I sound like a baby to you, being in the profession for almost 5 decades, but 16 years ago, I started out, and the way we would show somebody's adaptability is we would do a pre and post x-ray.
For sure.
And I think that that's still very valuable to showing
For sure.
somebody their path through the development of creating a healthy spine with a healthy nervous system.
And they even have motion x-rays where you can actually see the subluxation in, I was going to say inaction. What you really see is you see the effect of the subluxation in the inaction of the segment, which is also extraordinary.
Well, I did want to close out with a miracle story, but you know what, Larry? We are the miracle story.
Amen.
Our friendship over the past 8 years has been an amazing miracle story. And our ability to stay connected on a daily basis has been something really special. We've both been through the path of life together. So I'm really proud to have you on to our interview for episode 690.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you, James. Oh, if anybody should want to reach out to me.
Yeah, that was my next question. You beat me to it.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to work with you, Larry, where do we send them to?
You can send them to Goodman Factor, www.goodmanfactor.com. You can send them to drlarrygoodman.com. I've got a Facebook presence. I have a book you can get on Amazon called Fridays with Goodman. I have social media. I'm very Googleable. You'll find me. I promise. Oh, and I have Monday and Friday online Facebook wisdom. Monday nuggets and Fridays with Goodman. And daily I drop nuggets on social media, not only having to do with chiropractic, but having to do with success, health, and happiness.
So you have it there, everybody. Go to goodmanfactor.com, check out that website, and go to drlarrygoodman.com. He's got 2 websites that you can find him at. And Fridays with Goodman's the book. Go buy that on Amazon. And check him on social media, connect with him on Facebook, and keep on following his journey. And if you need somebody to help you unsubluxate your success, reach out to Dr. Larry Goodman.
Thank you, James. It was an honor and a privilege, and it was a lot of fun traveling down.
Yeah. And with that, this is episode 690 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. You guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. Bye for now. See you later. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.